Rightio then, we all know how to sketch the graphs of positive quadratic functions. I guess it's only time now to check out how to sketch the graphs of the negative ones.
Alright, so this question says sketch the graph of y equals negative 2x squared minus 3x plus 2 on the set of axes provided. Alright, so like what we've done in the previous questions, the first step is to find the y-intercept. So we're going to look for y-intercept, and of course to do that we need to make x equal to 0. So let's go through and do that first, shall we? So we've got the equation y is equal to negative 2x squared minus 3x plus 2, and we're going to make x equal to 0. So we go y is equal to negative 2 times 0 squared minus 3 times 0 plus 2. And then when we go through and simplify that, you get negative 2 times 0 squared is 0, minus 3 times 0 is 0, so you just get 2. So our coordinates at this point is at the point 0 being our x value, and at the point 2 for our y value. So you get the coordinates 0, 2. Now let's go through and plot that. So you get the point 0, 2, and we'll write 0, 2 here. The next step is to find our x-intercepts. So to find our x-intercepts, we make y equal to 0. So let's go through and do that now. We write out the equation of the line. So you go y is equal to negative 2x squared minus 3x plus 2, and we substitute in 0 for this. So you get 0 is equal to negative 2x squared minus 3x plus 2. Now let's have a look at this. How many types of x do we have? Well, we've got an x squared and an x. So that means we've got two different types, so we need to either factorize or use a quadratic formula to solve. So let's see if we can factorize first, shall we? Now the first step to do whenever factorizing is to take out any common factors. Now let's have a look to see if there's any common factors here. From what we can see, it doesn't look to be, but you can actually see the negative value here, so we're going to take that out as a common factor. So you're going to get 0 is equal to negative bracket 2x squared plus 3x minus 2. And this is going to make the world of difference later on. So from here, what we end up getting is we're going to multiply the 2 by the 2, because we've got 3 terms, and we have no other common factors that we can take out because we've got an a value. So you're going to multiply the 2 by the negative 2, getting us negative 4. And we're going to write down the factors of negative 4 and look for any that might add to 3. So we've got x and x, and what are the factors of negative 4? Well, we've got 1 and 4, 2 and 2, and which one's got to be negative? Well, because we've got the positive 3, it means that the small one needs to be negative. So negative 1 and 4, does that add to 3? Well, yes, it does. So what we're going to do is we're going to split this 3x up into 2 terms. So let me just erase this first of all, and we'll split it up into 2 terms. So you're going to go 0 is equal to negative bracket 2x squared. 3x is the same as writing minus x plus 4x minus 2. As you can see here, positive 3x is the same as saying negative x plus 4x. We're broken it up into 2 terms because what we're going to do is factorize according as if it was like 4 terms. So to do that, we're going to put brackets around the first 2 and brackets around the last 2 terms. Alright, so to do this now, we factorize by going equals negative bracket, alright, taking out any common factors where you can see x goes into both, so we're going to go x bracket 2x minus 1 plus 2 goes into both of these, so 2x minus 1. Bada bing bada boom, what you can see here is you got 2x minus 1 repeated. So what we're going to do is write that out as a common binomial factor now. So you get negative bracket 2x minus 1 in the first one, and you write the x plus 2 in the second one. And we don't really need that bracket out the front, so I'll just get rid of it here. So factorise, you can see that this is equal to negative bracket 2x minus 1 in the first bracket and x plus 2 in the second bracket. So now what we need to do is we need to write out whatever's in each bracket as a mini equation. So we're going to write 2x minus 1 to solve equals 0 to solve, and x plus 2 equals 0 to solve. Solving for x in both ones now, so we're going to add 1 to both sides, getting us 2x is equal to 1, and divide both sides by 2 gets us x is equal to 1/2. For this one here, you subtract 2 from both sides, and you get x is equal to negative 2. So our coordinates of these points is x equals 1/2, so you get 1/2, and our y was 0. And for this one here, our x was negative 2, and our y was 0. So we've got our 2 x coordinates here, our 2 x-intercepts. So let's go through and plot those now. So you've got 1/2, 0, so we're going to go across to 1/2, 0, do a dot there, and negative 2, 0. And we'll write out the coordinates of the point. So you go 1/2, 0, and negative 2, 0. Alright, now what we need to do is we need to find the coordinates of the turning point. So in order to be able to do that, we write the turning point is equal to, write out the formula, so negative b over 2a, comma, c minus b squared over 4a. Alright, going through and substitute into the formula now. Let's just rewrite out this with our a, b and c values. So we've got y is equal to negative 2x squared minus 3x plus 2. Alright, so our A value is this one here, negative 2, our B value is negative 3, and our C value is positive 2. So let's go through and substitute that in now. So you get negative B, so that's negative 3, over 2 times A, which is negative 2, comma, C being 2, minus B squared, so that's negative 3 squared, over 4 times A, which is negative 2. Go through and simplify that now. You get negative 3 is just positive 3, over 2 times negative 2 is 4, negative 4, sorry. Then we get 2 minus negative 3 squared is 9, over 4 times negative 2 is negative 8. That gets us negative 3 quarters, and 2 minus 9 on 8, well that therefore is going to end up being 2 plus 9 on 8, which therefore equals negative 3 quarters. We'll convert it into a fraction with a common denominator set now. So we're going to write over 8, and what divided by 8 gets us 2? Well, it's 16 plus 9 on 8, which of course is equal to negative 3 quarters. 16 plus 9 is 25, so you get 25 on 8, like that. So our coordinates of our turning point is negative 3 quarters, 25 on 8. Now in order to be able to plot that better, what we're going to do is convert this 25 on 8 into a mixed number. So you're going to go equals negative 3 quarters, and 25 on 8, well that's the same as saying 3 and 1/8, because 25 divided by 8 is 3, which will get us 24, and you've got one remainder, so 3 and 1/8. Alright, so now what we're going to do is go through and plot those. So negative 3 quarters, which is over here, and 3 and 1/8, so you're going to come up to 3 and 1/8, which is just around about here, plot it, and we're going to write out the coordinates here as being negative 3 quarters and 3 and 1/8. Now what you can see is I've got my dots. You can pretty much see what it's going to look like here if that's my turning point. So let's just double check that it's going to be a maximum parabola. Well, we have a look at the equation, and there's a number out the front of the x squared, positive or negative. Well, it's negative, so therefore, of course, because a is less than 0, it's a negative, so it's a maximum parabola. And all we need to do now is go through and join the dots. So we've got this dot comes down here through this way here, draw a little arrow at the end, and this one here of course is doing the same, going through these 2 points like so. And of course we go through and write out the equation of the line, which is of course y is equal to negative 2x squared minus 3x plus 2. Alright, so it's that time of the lesson again where you need to press pause and attempt the following question. That is, sketch the graph of y equals negative x squared plus 7x on the set of axes provided. Of course, when you're done, press play and check your answers out against mine. And welcome back once again. Alright, so the very first step whenever sketching a quadratic function is to find the y-intercept. So I've done that by making x equal to 0 right here. By writing out the equation first of all, so you got y is equal to negative x squared plus 7x, you can see all the way up here. Then I substitute in my x equals 0 value, so instead of writing x I write 0, so you get negative 0 squared plus 7 times 0, and of course 0 squared plus 7 times 0 is 0. So that gives me the coordinate, 0 for my x coordinate, and 0 for my y coordinate. So let's go and plot that point over here, shall we? So that is 0, 0. Alright, now I need to go and find my x-intercept. Now to do that, I need to make y equal to 0. So once again, I've written out the equation here, and instead of writing y, I've written 0. Now, how many types of x have I got? Well, I've got an x squared and an x, so that means I must factorize in order to be able to sketch this, or solve for it, in other words. So, in order to factorize, I need to look for common factors first. Now, I always take the negative out if there's a negative out the front of the x squared, and of course, x goes into both of these, so I can take the negative x out, in fact. Now, negative x times x will get us negative x squared, and negative x times negative 7 will get us positive 7x. So what I've got here now is I've got negative x outside the brackets and x minus 7. And I can actually solve for each mini equation by making each of the ones that has an x in it equal to 0. So I've got negative x is equal to 0 and x minus 7 is equal to 0. Now when I divide both sides by the negative, of course 0 divided by the negative is still 0. So the coordinate of that point will of course be 0, 0. Alright, and when I make x minus 7 equals 0 and add 7 to both sides, these 7's will cancel out, leaving me with x is equal to 7. And that coordinate, of course, is equal to x coordinate is 7, y coordinate is 0, so 7, 0. Now let's go over and plot those points over here, shall we? So we've got 0, 0 already, so tick, that's been done. Now I need to plot the point 7, 0, which is right here. And let's write it in the Cartesian point form. Alright, now what I need to do is go through and find the turning point, because that's what step 3 says up here. So I'm going to write out my formula once again. So I've got y is equal to negative x squared plus 7x, that's my function. And I'm going to label my a, b and c value. So my a value is negative 1, my b value is 7, and I don't actually have a c value, so it's plus 0, so my c is actually equal to 0. So now I've got my formula, negative b over 2a, comma, c minus b squared over 4a. I'm going to substitute those values in. So my b value is 7, so I substitute in 7. My a value is negative 1, so I substitute that in. My c is 0, my b once again is 7, and my a is once again negative 1. Going down here now, negative 7 on top, and 2 times negative 1 is negative 2. C is 0 taken out of the brackets. Minus 7 squared is 49, over 4 times negative 1 is negative 4. Now 0 minus 49 of course is just negative 49 over negative 4, and of course these two negatives will cancel out, leaving with 49 on 4, with 7 on 2 here because the negatives cancelled up here. Alright, so I've got 49 on 4, now converting that into a mixed number now, 49 divided by 4 is 12, with 1/4 remainder. So what I've got is 12 and 1/4, and 7 on 2. Now 7 on 2, of course, to make the life a little bit easier for us as well, is the same as saying 3.5. So we're going to go over to 3.5, and we're going to go all the way up to 12 1/4, which is roughly around about here. Alright, and I'm going to, of course, write out 7 on 2 and 12 1/4. Right, as you can see now, I've got my dots, and you can pretty much see what shape it's going to make if that's a turning point. It's going to be a maximum parabola. But let's just double check this by having a look at the value out the front of the x squared. Is it negative? Well, yes it is, and of course because a is a negative, it's going to be a maximum parabola, so we understand that now. Alright, now what we need to do is just join our dots. So we start off here at our turning point, and we're just going to come down through here, through there like that, through our point, and we're going to come down through here, through our point 70, like so, making a parabola. Make sure when you sketch that you don't make it like a joint, like a sharp thing like that, because that's not what a parabola looks like. You need to make sure it's like a hill that you're climbing up, alright? So it needs to be nice and rounded up the top.